Okay, so let's dive in. We've got this newsletter in front of us, the May 30th, 2025 edition of Technical News You Can Possibly Use. And, well, looking through it, it's quite a stack. Clearly a busy week in tech.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really good snapshot, isn't it? Covers a lot of ground, Microsoft's cloud stuff, dev tools, but also, bigger picture things like AI and even quantum showing up.
Right. So the plan for this deep dive for you listening is we're going to go through this specific collection, section by section, try and pull out the really important bits, the things that might actually matter to you. We've got Azure, Microsoft 365, AI, security, the works.
Exactly. Think of it as a quick way to get grounded in what's new and maybe what's coming, based on this one curated list.
Perfect. So first section here is Azure updates. What kind of jumped out at you initially from these titles?
Well, the AI theme is definitely strong. I mean, you see titles like, can you run any AI app on Azure at any scale? That's quite a claim. And there's a Build 2025 special update listed.
Build.
Yeah, Build is Microsoft's big developer conference, so seeing a special update tag like that means, there were probably some pretty major Azure announcements.
That any AI app at any scale title, though.
No.
It sounds ambitious. What's the likely message there? What are they signaling?
It's about flexibility and power, fundamentally. Any AI app suggests they're pushing Azure as being open, not just for their own models or frameworks, but bring whatever you need. Model agnostic.
Okay.
And at any scale, well, that's about handling everything from, say, a small experiment right up to massive enterprise-level deployments or training jobs. It's likely a competitive move, too, positioning Azure as the go-to, super capable platform for AI, no matter what flavor of AI you're using.
Okay, makes sense. Now, this other one looks really interesting, especially, for anyone touching Azure security. Break glass accounts in Entra ID explained in 10 minutes. What does break glass actually mean here? Why is that important?
Right. This is critical stuff. A break glass account is basically an emergency access account. It's set up specifically outside your normal strict security rules, things like MFA, conditional access, all that.
So, like, if everything else fails?
Precisely. If your main identity system gets compromised, or maybe you accidentally lock out all your regular admin accounts.
Yeah.
Which can happen. These accounts are your absolute last resort to get back in and fix things.
Like hiding a spare key under the mat, but hopefully much more secure.
Exactly. And that's the catch. They need to be incredibly secure, rarely used, and heavily monitored. Because if they're misused, it's a huge security hole. But not having them could mean you're completely locked out in a disaster. So understanding how to manage them, even from a 10-minute overview, is super important for anyone dealing with Entra ID.
Got it. Okay, moving on to Microsoft 365 updates. This section seems like a mix. You've got big platform stuff like Windows 11 gets a big security upgrade, but then also very practical things. Microsoft 365 Community Conference playlist, improving your secure score, mastering Defender for Office 365.
Yeah, and that makes us interesting. The Windows 11 upgrade, that's foundational, right?
Yeah.
It strengthens the base OS that a lot of M365 runs on or interacts with. But then the other items, they're more about empowering you, the user or the admin, to actively improve things within your M365 tenant.
Yeah, they feel very hands-on, these ones, like stuff you can actually go and do.
Totally. That community conference playlist, that's direct knowledge sharing. Improve your Microsoft Secure Score.
Right.
That points you to a tool inside M365 that gives tailored advice for your specific setup.
Right.
And mastering Defender for Office 365's, well, that's key for fighting phishing, malware, the everyday threats. So this section gives you both the sort of platform context and the direct action items for security and learning.
Okay, next up, Power Platform and Dynamics 365. Aside from the usual updates like for Power BI Report Server, I'm seeing terms like agents and translytical task flows. What's the story there? Sounds like things are getting more complex.
Well, yes and no. More powerful, definitely. It shows how these low-code platforms are really accelerating, especially with AI ideas filtering in. You see things like declarative agent plus API plugin authentication, trigger any action in Power BI with translytical task flows, and new Dataverse capabilities for multi-agent ops.
Okay, hold on. Translytical. What's that?
Good question. It's a bit of jargon blending, transactional and analytical. So instead of analyze data, then act, it suggests acting directly based on real-time or near real-time insights, maybe all within the same automated flow, making data insights immediately actionable.
I see. And agents, like AI agents.
Often, yeah. In this context, it usually means components, maybe AI-driven, that can perform tasks autonomously or semi-autonomously. And multi-agent ops in Dataverse, that's the database behind it all, suggests they're building support for more complex scenarios where multiple agents or automated processes work together.
So building blocks for smarter automation.
Exactly. It's moving beyond simple workflows to potentially quite sophisticated, data-driven, intelligent processes. The weekly call they mention is probably essential for keeping track of all this. It changes fast.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift to DevOps, SRE, and infrastructure. Titles like The End of Good Enough Agile and GitHub Copilot for Skeptics definitely caught my attention. Feels like they're addressing some real-world pains.
They really do. The end of Good Enough Agile kind of suggests that just going through the motions of Agile isn't cutting it anymore. With systems getting so complex, teams need more mature practices to actually deliver value reliably and quickly.
More than just stand-ups and sprints.
Right. And the Copilot stuff, the For Skeptics piece and the Agent Mode 101 deep dive alongside AI as a creative teammate, it just screams that AI is becoming central to the developer workflow.
So Copilot is moving beyond just code suggestions. Agent mode.
Seems like it. Agent mode suggests it might be able to take on larger tasks, maybe automate more complex parts of the workflow, acting more like an agent or a teammate rather than just fancy autocomplete. They're addressing the skepticism head-on, which is interesting.
And what about this one? Model Context Protocol, MCP servers, and technical debt. That sounds heavy.
It does. And it's super relevant as AI gets baked into everything. Think about it. If you're using multiple AI models, maybe different ones for different tasks, how do you manage the information they get, the context? How do they talk to each other?
Right. It could get messy fast.
Exactly. So a Model Context Protocol, or MCP, sounds like an effort to standardize or at least manage those interactions. Linking it directly to technical debt is key. It acknowledges that if you don't design these AI integrations carefully, you end up with complex, brittle systems that are hard to change later. It's a new kind of tech debt for the AI age.
And the DevSecOps survey mentioned probably reflects how teams are struggling to keep security embedded in all this complexity.
Precisely. Security has to keep pace with these new architectures and tools.
Okay, next section. Data, analytics, and AI. No surprise, it's packed. Claude 4, everything you need to know. Building a multi-agent AI powerhouse with Google ADK plus MCP.
Yeah, reinforcing themes we just talked about. Focus on specific, powerful models like Claude 4. And there's that multi-agent concept again, this time mentioning Google's tools, their ADK, likely an agent development kit.
And MCP again?
And MCP again.
Yeah.
It shows these architectural ideas like managing context between models are becoming a common challenge, probably across different cloud platforms. It's not just about one giant model anymore. It's about orchestrating multiple specialized agents.
So how do platforms like Microsoft Fabric fit in? I see items like SQL database tools for Microsoft Fabric and mirroring in Microsoft Fabric explained.
Well, Fabric is Microsoft's play for a unified data platform, right? Bringing data engineering, warehousing, BI, data science all together. For AI to work well, it needs good data, easily accessible. So features like mirroring, which sounds like a way to easily replicate data from operational databases, like SQLDB, into Fabric for analysis without disruption.
That makes the data readily available for these AI models and analytical tasks.
Exactly. It's about smoothing the path from raw data to AI-driven insight, all within that unified Fabric environment. The SQL Tools update just shows they're continuing to build out the core data handling capabilities there.
And then there's AI Center of Excellence, a blueprint. That sounds less technical, more organizational.
It is, and it's crucial. As companies adopt AI more broadly, they need a plan. How do you do it effectively, securely, responsibly? An AI Center of Excellence, or COE, is a common structure, a central team or function that sets standards, shares best practices, provides tools, manages governance. It's about making AI adoption successful across the whole organization, not just in isolated pockets.
Right, getting organized around AI. Okay, let's talk security, compliance, and privacy. Some of these titles sound like alerts, others like solutions. Azure AI services, attacker note, versus replace legacy VPNs with identity-centric ZTNA.
This section really highlights the constant push and pull in security. The attacker note for Azure AI is a sobering reminder. New tech brings new attack surfaces. You can't just deploy these cool AI services without thinking about how they might be targeted.
Definitely. And the VPN replacement, ZTNA.
Yeah, ZTNA is Zero Trust Network Access. This is a huge shift you're seeing everywhere. It moves away from the old castle and moat idea, where if you're inside the network, maybe via VPN, you're trusted. ZTNA basically says, Trust nothing by default. Verify everything, user identity, device health, context, every single time access is requested, no matter where the request comes from.
So identity becomes the new perimeter.
Exactly. It's identity-centric, essential for cloud and hybrid environments. Advanced security and identity in the cloud probably dives deeper into how cloud platforms enable this.
And I see CISA guidance mentioned too. AI data security CISA guidance.
Very important. CISA is a major U.S. cybersecurity agency. Getting specific guidance from them on securing AI data is significant. It shows this is becoming a mainstream regulatory and security concern. Then you have updates on specific tools like what's new in Defender for storage, showing the continuous improvement of protections.
And unified CCOPS. Multi-tenant mastery.
That speaks to the operational challenge. Security teams are often dealing with alerts from many different systems, maybe across multiple cloud tenants. Unified CCOPS is about bringing all that information together, correlating it, and managing responses efficiently, making sense of the noise.
Okay, lots happening on the security front. The newsletter also dedicated space to learning and certifications. We see things like mastering Claude Code in 30 minutes, an intro to Azure Synapse Studio, a full course on build REST APIs in .NET 9, and an overview, Azure AI Foundry Agent Service.
Yeah, this is the, okay, how do I actually learn this stuff section? And it ties back really nicely to the other topics.
Right. It's Claude mentioned again, Synapse relates to data platforms like Fabric.
Exactly. And building REST APIs, that's a fundamental skill for connecting all these different services and applications, whether AI-related or not. The .NET 9 part just shows it's current. And the Azure AI Foundry Agent Service overview directly links back to that multi-agent theme we saw emerging.
So it provides practical learning paths for the technologies being discussed elsewhere.
Precisely. It connects the news to the skills you might need.
All right, finally, the industry news and trends section. This seems to pull back for the big picture. We've got cybersecurity incidents like Chinese hackers exploit CityWorks 0-day, a confirmation of the beyond single model AI, the multi-agent shift, and then, wow, a whole cluster of quantum computing news.
Yeah, this section is really telling. The 0-day exploit is a reminder basic cyber threats remain constant, sophisticated attacks are ongoing. The multi-agent AI shift being called out as an industry trend validates what we saw percolating in the platform sections.
But the quantum stuff really stands out because there are multiple pieces. IBM's $150 bet on quantum for telcos. Windows 11 adds post-quantum cryptography. Lockheed Martin plus IBM. Quantum HPC synergy. Emergence quantum, new infrastructure.
That's the big signal here, I think. It's not just one announcement. IBM making a huge bet targeting a specific sector like telecoms suggests they see real-world applications emerging, not just pure research.
And Windows 11 getting post-quantum crypto. That feels very real.
It is. It means Microsoft is already starting to bake defenses against future quantum code-breaking capabilities into the operating system you might be using today. It's preparatory, but it's happening now. Then you have defense contractors like Lockheed exploring it with IBM, likely for complex simulations or optimization problems. And Emergence Quantum suggests the underlying infrastructure, the picks and shovels for quantum, is also being actively developed.
So quantum is moving out of the lab, slowly but surely. We're seeing investment, application-focused, defensive measures.
Exactly. It's becoming a tangible industry trend. Still early days, absolutely. But the signals in this one newsletter are pretty strong that it's something to start paying attention to.
Wow. Okay. That was a whirlwind tour through just 1 week's worth of updates. Stepping back from all these sections, Azure, M365, Power Platform, DevOps, AI, security, learning, industry. What are the big threads connecting all this? What really stands out?
Well, a few things become really clear, I think. First, AI is just everywhere. It's not a separate topic anymore. It's in developer tools. It's a new service type. It's driving new architectures like multi-agent systems.
Yes.
And it's also a new thing to secure.
Pervasive.
Second, security is relentless. It's tightly woven into platform updates. New architectural patterns like ZTNA are taking hold. And there's a constant focus on threats and defenses, both old and new. Third, the core platforms, Azure, M365, they're not static. They're evolving fast, integrating AI, boosting security. And fourth, you see the future peeking through, particularly with quantum. It's moving from theoretical to tangible, prompting both investment and defensive preparation in mainstream tech.
So it's a picture of rapid advancement, increasing intelligence in our tools, but also growing complexity and, a constant need for vigilance.
That sums it up pretty well. Amazing potential, but it comes with challenges in security, skills, and just keeping up with the pace. Which actually leads to a thought. maybe for you listening to mull over. Given this pace we've just seen highlighted, from complex multi-agent AI systems becoming a real focus, right through to the first hints of post-quantum crypto landing in Windows. How are you thinking about not just keeping up with the tools you use day to day, but really understanding these deeper foundational shifts happening underneath?
That's a good question. It's easy to get caught up in the features, but harder to track the underlying currents, isn't it?
It is. And understanding those currents might be key to navigating what comes next.
Well, hopefully this deep dive, unpacking this specific newsletter you shared, has helped shed some light on those currents. It really shows how valuable a curated source can be for cutting through the noise. We hope it gave you some useful insights and things to think about.
Yeah, hope it helps you make sense of this ever-changing tech world.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.